Hey, everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. And boy, do I have another fun interview for you to watch. It is with the great Randall Bramblett, and he's got a brand new album out called Paradise Breakdown. And if you love Randall Bramblett, you're absolutely going to love this album. It is fun, it is deep, it is intricate, the musicianship's amazing. I think you're going to like the album, just to put it very simply and bluntly. And I finally got to talk to this legend. We had a fun time chatting. I will admit up front that I goofed up in the beginning, forgot to hit record. So we had to kind of backtrack a little bit, but I don't think you missed anything because I re-asked a couple of questions. So it's a fun interview. Loved it. Very laid back as they always are here on Boomerocity. And we talked not only about the album, but some of the people he worked with, like Greg Allman and Bonnie Bramlett and Sea Level. Boy, we talked a lot about Sea Level. It was a lot of fun just to get his insights on some of those groups, some of those individuals. And so, again, I encourage you, if you would, to listen to this interview in its entirety, share it with your friends. I ask you and your friends to hit like and especially to hit subscribe because it helps us and it doesn't cost you a dime. And please let people know about Boomerocity because we do fun interviews like this, and it's just a labor of love, but we do have expenses and we'd just like to cover them wholeheartedly. So until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care. I just now remembered to turn on the recorder, so silly me. Anyway, the question was, tell me the story behind your new album that I love so much. So
Yeah, thanks. I was gonna say the last record we'd made, I think it was about 3.5 years ago because COVID came along right when we were releasing Pine Needle Fire, the last record. So we just,
mhm.
we were stuck for months and months trying to figure out, should we release it and what should we do? We can't go out and play. So eventually we did release it and we did a video. We couldn't really tour, but we did a video of the whole record. But since then, since that time, which was 2020, I guess, 21. Anyway, I've been writing. These are the songs that I mean, I wrote others too, but these are the ones I like the best from the time that we released the last record. And there's not like a concept here, but there are some threads, that hold the thing
Mhm.
together. Besides musically, there's threads of, I don't know, mortality and time running out kind of things and waking up, that seems to run through it, and loss and regret, of course. Um, all those things seem to tie these songs together, but I've always musically drawn from a lot of different sources, like sort of bluesy, sort of rock, sort of jazzy, sort of gospely, all
Mhm.
those things I draw from every time. So the songs are not, they're not coming from one place, but they kind of
Right.
hold together. They hold together well. I guess my voice kind of holds it together and my lyrics too.
Mhm.
But this is one of my favorites too. It took me a long time to get this thing sequenced, and there was 3 songs that really wouldn't go in any sequence. I like the songs, but they wouldn't fit in the sequence to make me feel comfortable. Because I like to listen to the whole thing like the old days,
Yeah.
like on
Yeah.
vinyl and, you listen to the whole record. So anyway,
Yeah.
I put those 3 songs in the, bonus tracks on the CD. We
Cool.
separated them out a little bit because they wouldn't play well with the other songs. But they're great songs. I love them too, and, I just didn't want them on the vinyl, and I wanted that to flow just right. So there's 8 songs on the vinyl and 11 on CD.
Cool.
But this
Well,
is one of my favorite records, and I'm pretty critical of myself, but I feel good about all these
well,
songs.
well, before I remembered to turn the record button on, and I'm not afraid to to show my humanity here by saying I screwed up, but we were talking about the album cover and all that. Tell fans again what you told me before I hit record, the story behind the album cover because it's pretty cool.
Well, the title, I had been trying to come up with a title for a long time, and finally, one in the middle of the night, I thought about Paradise Landing, which was a place where I grew up down. I mean, I didn't grow up there, but there was a landing on the river down Omaha River in Georgia that we used to put boats in and go in the swamp and stuff. And anyway, I thought Paradise, and then I thought, oh, Paradise Breakdown in the middle of the night. That would be a good title. I haven't heard that one before, and it kind of fits all the songs, you know, like beauty and fun and breakdown at the same time, destruction and desolation. So I went to a designer, a friend of mine who's worked with me before, and started looking on the internet for, you know, images, and we started seeing abandoned amusement parks. And this one jumped out at me, this shot. And she found the photographer in Brooklyn, and we got him to lease us that photo. And it turns out, I did some research on it. It turns out it was from New Orleans, where I used to live, where my wife is grown up and raised in New Orleans. And it turns out that was Six Flags New Orleans flying chairs that only lasted, I don't even know if it ever opened, but it got blown away by Katrina. So it was one of those serendipitous things that just fit the record, and it fit just like, oh my God, we couldn't have picked a better image than that. And it means something to me too. You know, it's all
Yeah.
abandoned and broken down and fun at the same time. It's got graffiti on it and stuff, you know, parts
It's
of it
kind
are
of
blown away.
kind of symbolic of life itself, isn't it?
Isn't
You know,
it?
just
Yeah.
the whole kit and caboodle.
The
You know,
whole thing it was fun, but now it's just falling apart. But it's still fun. It looks fun, and it's beautiful. The thing of it is, it's a beautiful photo. You know,
yes, it
blue,
is.
gold, and it's so beautiful, and yet it is pretty much broken down. So
Yep.
anyway, it kind of fits some of the songs too. There's a lot of beauty in these songs, but the meaning of them sometimes is a little deeper than that. It's not so simple.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've worked on a ton of albums, some of your own, some of a lot of others. How was this album, besides a pandemic kind of rippling through it and all that? What else was different about putting this album together from all the others that you've worked on?
Um, I think it's well, my friend and producer and drummer Jerry Hansen for years has been doing our records, and we both. I wanted Tom Bukovac I wanted to do part of this record up with him. He was either going to come down here to Athens, or we were going to go up to Nashville, and we ended up going up there and working in a small studio in East Nashville with him because I don't know, he played on Bright Spots record, and he's done some beautiful creative work for me. And he's one of those guys that just unlimited creativity. And I wanted him to kind of take charge of sort of the production and the guidance on the Nashville part of this. So that was different. We just went up there and let him do his thing on about 4 or 5 songs, 5, I guess.
Mhm.
And that set the tone for the record. Then I wanted to come back to Athens and work down here with my guys for the rest of it, you know. So that was a little different, but basically I've been using a lot of the same guys and sometimes the same studios for years because these guys get me. Jerry Hansen puts the song first, you know. He's a producer, but he's always trying to serve the song. And all the guys in my band get this. They get where I'm coming from. So I usually don't have to do too much. They know what to do. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I could branch out, but I don't feel the need that much because these guys are so good at what they do, and we all love each other, and we have fun making records. So
Well,
that's the way it went.
even though there was that synergy and that familiarity of the studios and the people you've worked with and all that, were there any surprises that popped up in the making of this album, something you didn't anticipate?
Um, Well, I wanted us in a different place than I'd ever worked. And this little studio in Nashville called The Cabin was a very small studio. And it had, had good stuff there, but it was small. So we were all tightly packed in there. That was, I mean, I didn't know what it was going to be like, but it was very intimate there. And that, you know, that that's one of those good surprises that it tends to I don't know, glue the thing together a lot better if you're close and you're right across from somebody that's, sort of leading the way on this thing. And that was surprising. The studio in Athens was bigger. Uh, so that it still is, and I used a different bass player, AJ Adams, on the Athens stuff that I'd never used before. But so it was an adventure in both places, just different. The small
Mhm.
small room was really cool. Although it was like almost too small, but anyway, it worked out. It worked out
Personal
great. It was
personal
surprising.
hygiene was important, right?
Yes, it
So
was. Yes, a lot of deodorant going on there, but
that's right.
but that's why I like to try things in different spots, different studios sometimes, because you do get a different feel. And yeah, and we use a different engineer up there.
Mhm.
Uh, they all got ideas and ways to come up with sounds and make the music fit better bring it up a notch from what I bring in with demos, from my studio. We're trying to
Right.
bring it up to a magical place, a more powerful place than it was when I just put this stuff together.
Mhm. What, of the songs on the album, which one would you point to as a calling card that tells fans or new listeners, "Hey, if you like this song, you're gonna love the rest of the record"?
Hmm. Well, they're all different, but I think my favorite right now is "Throw My Cane Away,"
Mhm.
which that's a true story that a friend of mine from New Orleans told me, musician, when he ran into Dr. John, and they were friends a long time in New Orleans, knew each other, but they hadn't seen each other in a long time. And they hadn't seen each other since they both got clean and sober. So they ran into each other in New York, just by
Mhm.
accident, crossing on the street together on the sidewalk. And Johnny told me, he said, "Hey, Mac, how you doing, man? It's great to see you." And Mac said, "Johnny, I feel so good. I'm gonna throw my cane away." So that phrase had been in my mind about 20 years or so, because it was a long time ago. He told me that story, and it finally came out in a song on this one, and it just feels right because it's true. I mean, I put the part about him being a ghost in there, which he actually did die, but Johnny,
Yeah.
and but the rest of it is like some verbatim stuff, like because when I was working we were playing the same gig, me and Dr. John, and we were at the hotel that morning fixing to go somewhere else. And he and I were talking, and he said, "I saw your boy in the elevator." I don't know. He has a way of saying things, like, what does that mean? I mean, oh, yeah, one of the guys in my band. Okay. Saw your boy in the elevator. So that became part of the song too. I don't know. It just makes me feel good. That song. It's funky and it's sad and it's joyous at the same time.
Well, that's
That's
what
my
I love about this industry. I mean, there's a lot of things that have been, it's not always the cleanest business to be in, and we all know the stories. We don't know all the stories, but we all know some of them, right? And so
Mhm.
but what I love about it is the small world that it really is. I mean, you have worked with so many people. You mentioned Dr. John. When you said that, the story that Chuck Liddell mentions about working with him and how he was selected to, work with John and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, here I am, just an outsider looking in, and I get to listen to y'all on, record, CD, whatever, and occasionally get to talk to y'all, but I'm just struck by that tight fit that there is with you all and the camaraderie and all of that that contributes directly or indirectly into making your music. I mean, is that a fair observation on my part on that?
Yeah, the connections, you mean, between all of us, even though we're like Levon used to tell me some, well, he was, when I played a couple of tours with him, I got to experience his dislike of Dr. John. It's a long story, but he was connected to him too, and his ex-wife was too. And they were connected to Jerry Lee's doctor and all kind of stuff, and I guess Chuck tell you the story about finding the voodoo notes, and he got asked over to Dr. John's hotel room. He saw
Mhm.
this voodoo. Dr. John was taking notes on people with voodoo signs and stuff. But anyway, yeah, we're all connected. I mean, Mac has made it. He played a big part in my. I mean, he's a big influence on me. Just that whole funkiness and feel and the looseness of those records, especially Dr. John, the Night Tripper record. That just
Mhm.
that was a really unique and creative thing.
Yes, it
Uh,
was.
and Levon's always been a hero of mine. And I got, to be able to play with him was like one of the dreams, and Winwood too, and Traffic. Those people were heroes of mine. So I've had a lot of great experiences playing for
Yeah.
my heroes.
I want to get more into that in just a moment, but back to the new record. What's
Mhm.
been the reaction so far? What are friends, family, people that's heard it so far telling you? 'Cause I love it. I think it's great. I agree with you. I think it's I've followed your music for a long time, but this one's right up there, man. So what are
Yeah,
you hearing from others?
I'm hearing that too. I've been getting reviews and just people in the band and people in town here that so far, I mean, it's just getting out really. I guess last week it was released, but
Mhm.
so far people are loving it. And, we're just learning to play these things live. We play Friday here in Athens for the big CD release party, and we'll see. But I think people are really digging it so far. All the reviewers like it, but I don't know how, I don't know if people even do bad reviews anymore. It's mostly reviews that you like a record, I think. But
Yeah.
anyway, so far everything's been great as far as people liking it. I
Well,
feel
good.
good about it. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Well, if you're having fun doing it, that's really what counts because that's what comes across to fans.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
going back to your career, and I kind of alluded to this a minute ago, talking about, surprises and such, but you've been at this a long time, worked on a
Yeah.
lot of fun projects like we talked about. What are the biggest changes, good and bad, that you've seen in the music business?
Well, you used to make a record and then go out and tour behind it. But now you make a record and it helps you get some dates to be able to tour. It's just backwards now because people are not selling as many records because everybody's just downloading or listening on Spotify or whatever, YouTube. And
Mhm.
so the sales are dropped way off and it's harder to get heard for sure. Like back when I was playing with Sea Level, we would chart sometimes on the national chart, radio charts, because
Mhm.
there people were listening to radio back then, and the big stations would pick us up, and we could play dates out of that too because we were getting radio play a lot across the nation. That has
Mhm.
totally changed. We get radio play in small, non-commercial stations, and we love them, but they're small stations. Um, you know how that goes. WNCW outside of Asheville and
Mhm.
places like that are really good stations, but they don't have a huge listenership, and it's not gonna sell you a lot of records or anything. And people are not even buying. They buy at shows, but they don't buy in stores that much anymore. And cars don't have CD players. It's just a different thing now. People are just listening online, and Spotify. And it's
Yep.
totally different. So nobody sits and listens to a record all the way through. I don't know. I do sell more vinyl now than I ever have, which tells me that
Really?
Although I have heard that people buy vinyl sometimes just to have it. They don't even play it. But I'm hoping some of them will actually play the whole thing through, flip it over, play the other side, like the old days, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, everything has changed. Everything.
I miss that about albums. I mean, to be totally transparent about it, I listen through streaming, but I like buying the vinyl, even though I listen to the stream, and hopefully, you know, if the bonus cuts are available, those as well. But I like having the vinyl so I can actually read the liner notes a little easier
Yeah.
and get them signed because I mean you can't see it because of the virtual backdrop here, but my office is lined with autographed albums that because I've been able to meet people like you and get them to sign the album. To me, that is representative of what music is all about. and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so to me I think there's an opportunity for a double sale there. Yeah, I'll sell the album, pick up the fractions of pennies on the stream, but know that people are still listening, I hope.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And we hopefully get to, go out and play to some people we haven't reached yet and people that want to hear us
Mhm.
because of streaming too. I mean, that is one thing. I mean, like I've been doing yesterday, I did some station IDs for a station in Australia, which wouldn't have been
Hmm.
possible before, so there's, in New Zealand, I did one and, it's anywhere because everything is on Zoom or whatever, and people can hear the record all around the world.
Yep.
That's good. That part's good.
Well, and doing
Part of
things like this,
Mhm.
I'm a nobody. I'm not Rolling Stone magazine, thank God, but I do have a global viewership, a global following, and you get 1,000 of me together,
Yeah,
you're getting a good footprint there, and that's what makes it nice. You can be up close and virtually personal without having to violate your privacy or give addresses out, things like that. So I think there's a lot of good that comes out of it, but monetizing it's always the problem. And
yeah, I think it just comes down to playing live shows pretty much now, you
I
know?
agree.
There's no way to make a living selling CDs and merch all the time. I mean, it
Yeah,
helps, just you can't make a living at it. I don't see how these little labels stay in business, but some of them do.
yeah, yeah. Or they get bought
Just a di
out.
Yeah, s yeah, they get bought up and consumed.
Yeah. What is touring any easier for you?
No. Well,
Everybody says that.
it's not easier. Like, we're not at the level to have, roadies and stage
Mhm,
managers. We do it all, and we have a lot of volunteers that help us when we go places, but we
mhm.
pretty much do it all. So it's four-piece band and a 15-passenger van, driving to Tampa or something. I'm a little less tolerant of that since COVID, really, since I stayed home for so long. I hadn't been home for that long, and I don't know, since I was in my 20s.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was nice to be home, and I'm not loving traveling these long distances in a van anymore. I still we fly out to dates sometimes, but I don't have the tolerance of sitting in a vehicle for 6 hours and then playing, loading in and playing. It's gotten a little
No.
more I don't have the tolerance for it like I used to, but it has not gotten any easier, I don't think. I mean, we're playing better places, nicer places, and people help us all the time, which is great,
Cool.
so that part is better. I'm
So
not playing bars and stuff.
good. And so many of them are smoke free now, so now you don't
Oh,
have to
yeah.
worry about your lungs. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we just play smoke-free places.
yeah. Well, I wanna touch on a few names from your career, people I've come across and you've worked with, and just kind of get your thoughts on it. One of them we already talked about the other night on the phone, and that is yeah, from your sea level days. I mentioned old Joe English. I had promoted one of his, well, I promoted his first Christian concert in public. I think he did a couple of showcases for the industry, but he came to the church I was at in Phoenix. I organized it, put it all together, promoted it, and he said, "Hey, do you mind if one of my friends opens for us?" And I said, "Who would that be?" And he said, "Bonnie Bramlett." So I know
Mm.
you've worked with both of them. What are your thoughts on back in those days, the sea level days with Joe and with Chuck and working with Bonnie Bramlett and all of that?
Well, they were, really exciting, fun days. I mean, we burn out eventually, but right at first, joining Sea Level, and of course, we had JMO and
Mhm,
playing drums with us at the beginning, and then uh, another guy playing drums, and then Joe joined
mhm.
us. So Joe came in I guess, toward the middle and end of Sea Level, and we were just having a great time, and we were hoping we could develop a sound that was different than anybody else. Just a little jazzier and cooler than freer than Southern rock. We just weren't really into Southern rock that much. I never have
Mhm.
been. So it was a lot of fun, and playing with Bonnie on one of her records down there was fun too. I love Bonnie.
Mhm.
She's got some serious pipes.
Mm.
She's
Oh
got
my
some
gosh. Yeah.
soul. Yeah, I was looking at some old Delaney and Bonnie YouTube videos recently. Man, they were hot, so hot, just really on fire. But
It's a
yeah, that's what.
crime. It's a crime that they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I think. I
Yeah,
think they should
yeah.
be in there.
I know people don't really know them that well
Yeah.
unless you're in the music business,
Yeah.
because I don't guess they had a huge hit. But anyway, it was exciting back then. It was a lot of fun, and you know, the it it all kind of ran out, and the record company folded, and we were all kind of burnt out. By the end of the '70s, early '80s, it was time for me to get out, and try to save my life, which I did, and it was time for that part of my life to be over.
Mhm. Mhm. Do you find, I mean, I remember reading and background on you that you actually started off being what, a ministerial student before you got into music. Do you draw from that at all?
Well, I just majored in religion at
Ah,
UM.
okay.
So I was gonna go to seminary, but that I changed my mind on that. And it just went straight to being a full-time musician. Um, but yeah, always drawing from not religion necessarily, but from mystery and spirituality, I guess you would call it, faith and trust and releasing and letting go, all those surrender, all those things that you hear in various religious or spiritual places. Um,
Mhm.
the mystery of it all and the letting go part is in almost all my songs. And there's
Mhm.
anger, there's joy, and all the things that go along with letting go and trusting and trying to live a good life, making
Mhm.
mistakes. So all that stuff. I mean, I was drawn to that in college, really, because the professors of religion at UNC were just great. I loved them. And it was a time when everything was falling apart, the Vietnam War, and we didn't even have a graduation that year. It was just people were boycotting everything, and
Yeah.
it was that was the most um, I don't know, uh, a meaningful and time of one of the most meaningful times of my life was
Mhm.
the end of my college career, and the whole idea of kind of dropping out and got politically involved more, uh, and just wondering what's the point of trying to make a living at something you don't even like doing, business, all this stuff. I just let it all go. Just said, I'll just live as a hippie in a commune and play music. But I didn't have a commune, but Athens at the time was pretty loose and pretty funky and could do whatever you wanted to do, play any kind of music. And I
Mhm.
felt free for the first time, free. Of course, there's a
There's a lot
price.
of Yeah, there is. Do you see a similarity between those days and today with everything going on in the world?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think in humans, there's always that urge to, well, in a lot of people, to expand and to experiment and to grow and to, try to change the world. That's what we were trying to do, change the world for better. And there's still that going on today for sure. I mean, I hope it continues. Um,
Mhm.
I think there's a real yearning for meaning and purpose in life.
I
That's what
agree.
we were all looking for then too. And it comes and goes, you sometimes for me, I would get involved with whatever, I was a social worker for a while and, just doing a job. And then there's times when it all gets mysterious and mystical and you're really trying to expand uh, your life and meet other people where they are. And,
Mhm.
it's times of growth, I guess, is what you'd say. And then there's times of just doing a job. Same with
Yeah.
music, sometimes you just playing a gig. And most of the time I feel like I'm, trying to expand, trying to push the boundaries a little bit. That's what I've always done with my records, is trying to push it a
Mhm.
little bit, see if we can do something a little better, a little different this time.
And over the years, especially last, say, 10 years, we've lost quite a few people you've worked with, Greg Allman and Levon and, BJ Thomas and many, many others. What has that changed how you write music now and how you perform it and how you feel about it?
You mean losing them?
Yeah. Seeing the mortality. I mean, because let's face it, 50, 60 years ago, we were supposed to live forever, right? We were,
Oh yeah. Never thought
the
about
Grim
it.
Reaper wasn't going to come around for us. It's
No,
all everybody, it's for our
yeah,
parents and
everybody else.
grandparents. Yeah, that's
I
right.
know, I know, I know. It's definitely affected me. And I've lost Davis Causey, who was one of my closest friends and writing partners and musician. We played together since '69, I think,
Mhm.
all the way up till just recently. And then he just died suddenly. Tommy Tarleton, the same with Cowboy. He's a really good friend of mine. And he just passed away. So, yeah, you can't ignore it anymore. You can't act like it's not going to happen to you one day.
Right.
It also brings a lot of gratitude to me to still be here and in good health making records, when other people have had to go on, leave it. There's several lines in this record about, like in the Throw My Cane Away song, Johnny's like, Johnny's a ghost. And he's saying, you find out it's a sweet old world after you've gone, and that so there's several lines like that and about the world being sweet, but we don't even notice it sometimes while we're here. There's a song called Worried About Money, where all this beautiful mystical stuff is happening around us and the trees and the light and photons and everything. And I'm worried about money. That that's a theme that runs through too. There's just all this beauty that we better start paying attention is what to the people we love and to the environment and everything, our daily lives. That's what I guess people passing on
Yeah.
brings to.
What does that tie? I mean, I think you just answered my question I was going to ask, but I'll ask it anyway. And that is, what do you hope people take away from the album? Because it's obvious that you didn't just mail this project in. You put your heart into it. There's
Oh yeah.
deep, deep lyrics in it. You've touched on that. What do you hope when people listen to the whole album from beginning to end, even the bonus tracks? What do you hope they take away from the album?
Um, it's like my buddy Jerry Hansen, who produced this record with me, always says, it made me feel something. you know, these songs, I want people to feel, the joy of them, the sadness of them, just feel, um, all the work we put into these things and the musical part of it and the lyrical part of it, and
Mhm.
just get uplifted and deeper into their experience, you know. I just want them to
Yeah.
feel. That's what it makes me feel when I listen.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping
Same
other
here.
feel too. I mean, they got it's not just feeling good and happy, it's feeling deeper, you know, just some depth.
Right.
These
Grounded.
songs are pretty deep.
They are.
I
They're very deep. That's what I love about it. If,
Mhm.
it's almost as if the music that that the that the notes are secondary because the lyrics are so, and they're it's tastefully done together. It's not one overpowers the other, but they're very supportive to each other, I think,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
me
what's
too.
on your radar for the rest of the year? What do you got planned?
Just playing behind this record, and, I'm going out with Mark Cohn, some I've been playing with him over the last few years. Walking in Memphis is his big hit, and he's a
Mhm.
great guy up in New York, and he does a trio thing with me and a percussionist, and, uh, I'm gonna do some more out in California with him, and, we'll just see how this goes. You never know how a record's gonna do, what kind of response it's gonna get. I mean, I see that we're charting on the what is it? The blues or Americana charts. So,
Mhm.
you never know if a song will take off or the record will get some traction. And I'm just excited to see what's going to happen with it. I keep my expectations low, though. Keep them low.
It's what we learn when we get to be this age, right?
Oh
So
yeah, the music business. Keep them
that's
low.
right. That's right. So, I hope to be talking to you a lot more in the future, Randall. But so I'll probably ask you this question about every other time we talk, and and it's not meant to be a macabre type of question, but when you step off the tour bus of life up at the great gig in the sky to cop a line from Pink Floyd, how do you hope to be remembered, and what do you hope your legacy is?
Hmm. Well, I think it's important for me, but I'd like people to realize, people that struggle with addictions too, that you can be a sober songwriter and musician and be authentic and real and really maybe even write better than you used to when you were under the influence. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just that's a big one for me because I didn't write for 3 years after I got clean and sober. I was just too afraid. I didn't think I had it anymore. I didn't even know how to write anymore. So slowly it kind of I started missing it and slowly I started writing again and it turned out to be better, just slower but better.
yeah,
And I think I mean that and just the I don't know, the music itself is enough, and I don't need to be remembered as a person that much. It's just the beauty of the music to me. It's what is my contribution. I hope it
yeah.
makes people feel something. So I think that's enough.
Yeah. Do you find, and I didn't plan on getting on the sobriety bit, but you bringing it up brought some people to mind in the business who are sober and they invest in the lives of others to help them with their sobriety. Are you seeing do you see a network of your peers kind of doing that kind of thing and friends and such? And do you guys draw strength from each other as you guys do that for others who are where you used to be?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of us in the program. We know each other and you know, we we encourage each other, and then when somebody needs some help, somebody will call them and talk to them, or just say, "Look, you can do this. You can be a musician, but you got to get your sobriety together first." You don't
Yeah,
want to be jumping out into bars right away. Just give it time and settle down. All those things that people don't necessarily know when they're trying to get sober. Things like
yeah,
that get passed around and if somebody calls me and say, "I want you to talk to this guy that's he's trying to." He's trying to decide if he wants to get sober or whatever, or he's having a hard time. We always do that.
yeah.
It's not every day, but we are on call,
Right,
to
right.
help folks. And it just happens that being a musician makes it a little trickier when you're trying to get sober because a lot of times everybody will be drinking but you or everybody be doing stuff and you got to make some decisions about, is this good for me or not? What's more
Yep.
important? Me staying sober or hanging out with my old buddies,
Yep.
all that
Yep.
stuff. You don't necessarily know that until you get some help with this
That's right.
particular problem.
Well,
So yeah,
hopefully
we spread it around.
some people will watch this interview and be encouraged without
Yeah,
us even knowing it, and that's important. That if they got nothing else from this, I hope they got that. So
yeah, me
that's
too.
very cool. Well, Randall, I'm glad we got together, and please know my door is always open to you. I'd love to interview you more in the future, and please let me know if I can ever be of any assistance. And I'll try to keep an eye on your itinerary. And if you get up near my neck of the woods, I want to
Yeah,
come over and watch you play, man.
that
That
would
would
be
be
great.
great. It'd be a
You'd
lot of
like it.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know I
Thanks for
would.
having. Thanks for having.
All right, my friends, stay healthy and well, and we'll talk again in the future.
All right, Randy. Take care,
All
man.
right, take care. Bye bye.